Today marks the second anniversary of an Al-Shabaab militant attack on Kenyan-run military camp in El-ADDE, Somalia. It was an attack that left hundreds of Kenyan soldiers dead, many others injured, and others missing. Trixingado looks back at the attack and spoke to a number of families of those left behind.
At 6 a.m. on the 15th of January 2016, Kenya woke up to breaking news of an attack on Kenyan-run camp at El-ADDE. As news trickled in of a fierce battle between Kenya Defence Force soldiers and Al-Shabaab militia, it became apparent that this was perhaps the deadliest attack meted on the armed forces since the launch of the AMISOM-led peacekeeping mission in Somalia. The ambush that can only be described as meticulous was kicked off by a suicide bomber aboard the armored personnel carrier, an assault that opened up the base to further attack by terrorists. While there has been some debate on the number of casualties, it is estimated that at least 173 officers were killed, around 16 captured, and many others reported simply as missing in action. It has been 2 years since the El-ADDE attack took place, but for military families who were affected by the deadly assault and are still smarting from the pain of 2 years ago, memories still linger as if it was just yesterday. Maureen Bonyo is a school teacher and mother of two who was widowed by the attack. She recalls receiving news that something had gone wrong in the base where her husband was.
But I really thank my brother. He stood with me. When I called him, I told him, there's an attack that has happened. And my husband was in that place. The only thing he told me, just have courage. And then the next day, he came. Among the family members, he was the first person to come where I was.
The pressure was unbearable, she says, as family members immediately demanded for her husband's compensation money to meet burial costs.
Traveling to War Memorial, going to 9KH in Eldoret, because we are looking for information to know the reality. But that is when the time the in-laws are calling you and asking you for money, that you have been compensated, yet you don't even know whether this person has survived, whether this person is dead. Yours is just to walk, looking for information.
Maureen later received compensation. This sorted out her family's immediate financial needs, but the pain was still hard to bear. Susan Gitao is a trauma counseling expert. She understands the pain the families are going through.
There is what we call combat trauma for the soldiers, but what the families go through is vicarious combat trauma. It's like your significant other is at the battlefront, you are also there with them. So you can imagine when that link is cut off. It means if I am traumatized, sometimes there is avoidance symptoms. I do not want to hear about it yet. My being, my inner self wants to know what's happening, but I avoid anything and everything that is going to talk about maybe the battlefield, including the screens, yet maybe that's where my help would come from. There's also the issue of hyperarousal, and this is whereby we have long-term physiological effects. So you get people developing high blood pressure, even when they're very young, and that also goes maybe to people developing diabetes, others panic attacks, and panic attacks can kill.
Laying her husband to rest brought closure. She now fills her time up with her teaching job, housework, and taking care of her children. Being a single mom, she says, is no walk in the park.
Kinanifanya nitake kuwa daktari ni passion. Halafu vile dadi aliumia, sikuhisi vizuri na nilitaka tu niwe daktari niwasaidie watu wenye wameumia kama surgeon.
Particularly those ones whose fathers were killed at the battlefield, because these children also
endure a lot of trauma. Some of them are very young. You realize, Trix, that most of the soldiers who are taken to the battlefield are in their 20s and 30s with very young families. So the children mostly will be less than 10 years of age. So we also take them through counseling sessions. And so far, we've been able to link at least 100 families.
For Shadrach Yego's family, the nightmare of January the 15th, 2016 has been long and winding. He was declared missing in action following the attack. Mama Yego tells us of the last time the family heard from Shadrach.
Akasema wako wanne mahali walitorokea mahali inaitwa Lakole. Na kile ambacho walikuwa nataka ni msaada. Kwa sababu mahali walikuwa ni ngumu, walikuwa nataka msaada. Sisi tukapiga simu Nairobi kwa jeshi tukiwaambia mahali hawa wako. Na hawa walitumia tu simu ya mpita njia tu village ya huko.
Ikifika kila mwezi tarehe 15 huwa silali hiyo siku. Huwa inanitesa sana. Aswa mwaka jana wa tarehe 15 mwaka jana tarehe 15 January tuliweza kuitwa ukule Moi Barracks. Na kabla hiyo siku tukaambiwa tutaongoja kwa miaka 7 ndio labda wathibitishe hawa watoto hawapatikani tena.
It is a painful state of limbo, the state of not knowing. The family often relies on prayer for comfort in these trying times. Shadrach's father has just returned from a 40-day prayer session in seclusion. The family still receives Shadrach's salary. This helps them get by. As the years go by, uncertainty has become part of their lives. Many forge on quietly despite their pain, holding out hope that one day their sons will return home from the battlefield. Trix Ingado, KTN News.